Hi everyone, this is Kari with Consistently Creative Crew, and last Wednesday night Cheryl taught the project recipe by Creative Memories called Tropical Garden, and I did not record the digital version of this layout, so I thought I would jump on and get a recording of that so you could see a couple of ideas of what you might be able to do. This was a very unique layout for us. A couple of things that were very different as you look at the sketch that's here below the original sample that Creative Memories provided. You can see that this is not a layout that is truly a mirror image of each other or a duplicate between the left and the right. They actually took this border punch in a couple of pieces and layered it on both the right page and the left page. There's a variety of horizontal photos, landscape and portrait photos. There's also a circle. So a lot of different things that were going on in this layout. So it was a little bit more complex than some of the more recent project recipes that Creative Memories has provided. And I thought I would show you the advisor guide also that came out with this. So what they used was one sheet of cardstock, which was this deep orchid color. And you can see on the layout that they used with these papers that this deep orchid color stands out pretty well against the pattern paper as well as this dark green paper. On the other page, it doesn't, you can see it also against the pattern paper. The place where it does not show up as well, at least on the image that we have, is on the purple patterned paper. So you need to kind of decide what you're going to utilize. Fortunately, in digital, if you're not happy with what you start with, you can easily change it and not have to cut another sheet of paper. So let me show you a couple of the sample paper pairings that Creative Memories provided. So they've got this a tonal orchid color. They've got a pattern. They've got this green tone on tone. They've also got a set of papers here with the yellow and then some lighter pattern papers. And then they had a green tonal with these bright flowers and some more green tonals on the back brown paper. So looking at this, the way I would probably start is I'm going to be looking at both the sketch design as well as the cutting guide that they provided. Fortunately, as I look at the cutting guide, there's a lot here that's photo mat. So you can see if I look at paper one, these are 3 pieces plus the border that we're going to end up utilizing to kind of form some of the background on our layout. This piece F is a background, but G, H, and I are all photo mats. If I look at the paper number 3, you can see that there are 2 very narrow strips, and then there's additionally some other photo mats, but then there's a lot of punches. So what I'm going to focus on is getting these bigger pieces that are going to go in the background onto my page, and then laying out the photo mats, including the circle one. And at the very end, I'm going to show you a couple of ideas for using some additional shapes to cut those shapes. So I'm going to move this off onto my side. All right, so the first piece I'm going to add to my page, I'm actually going to trim. I'm going to use my snipping tool and I'm going to snip this off on my other screen. This guide, and I'm going to just put this up here because then I can kind of refer to it as I need it. So I can kind of see what that left page is going to look like, and that's just going to make things a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to start with this piece C here, which is 1 by 10. So I'm going to insert a shape, rectangle, 1 by 10, and I'm going to go ahead and fill it with this color, as I find that this is just makes it easier. Now, I'm fairly sure that this looks like it's centered between the top and the bottom. I'm not exactly sure at this point where it is. So I'm going to just go to the home ribbon, line it, center it vertically. I know I'm probably going to have to move it over to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And I will adjust it later on when I'm ready. Then it looks like I have this very, very narrow green strip. But since I've already got the color for D in here, I'm going to do that first. I'm going to just actually copy this strip and I'm going to change the dimensions on it. So D is 4.5 inches by 10. So I'm just going to change that to 4.5 up on the quick access toolbar. And I am going to go ahead and lay that against the right edge of the page. That was fast. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do this F, which is this yellow piece. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it. I'm going to go across on my quick access toolbar and change the fill to that yellow. I know from the cutting guide that this needs to be 6 by 12. And I'm going to want to nudge it all the way up to the top, and I'm going to want it right next to this peach colored piece. So that's D and F. And then I need this green narrow strip. So I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to copy and paste. And I'm going to know that this was 0.25 inches. And I'm going to change the fill using the quick access toolbar, and I'm going to get it to that green, and that's that one. And I know that I need to have that snugged up there. And I can tell that this has to be moved over now. And now you can see I've got kind of the layout that goes across the two pages here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now, while I know that from this layout, it's not identical going over, but I think I might save myself some time just duplicating it. Then I've got some rectangles to work with, some squares to work with. So I think I should do the photo frames. So let me do that first. So I'm going to copy and paste. And all of these were 6 by 4. So I'm going to just change that to a 6 by 4. And this is over on this side. And it's going to need a photo. So I'm going to go ahead and get that fixed up first. And it is a 5.5 by 3.5 photo. So I'm going to just center these using the quick access toolbar, the second and the fifth, and I'm going to group it together. And that way, wherever I end up moving it, I know that I'm going to grab both of them, at least for the time being. So I'll go ahead and do these two green ones now. So I might as well start with the green border piece. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it, I'm going to change it to also 6. This one's actually 4 by 6. And just verify that, yep. And then we'll add a photo frame. And this was 3.5 by 5.5. And again, I'm going to select both of them, go to the quick access toolbar, the alignments, the second and the fifth. And I will group those, group. And now I'm just going to copy and paste. So now I've got both of those there. Okay, it's looking pretty good here. It is really hard to tell the difference between where this outline is because it's the same color on this photo mat as it is in the background. Later on, we can do some strokes. We can do some other things that'll bring that out. But looking at this page, the only thing that's really left is to do this border piece. So I am going to just go ahead and I am going to do the other page. So I'm going to go over to the panel on the right and go to pages. And when I hover over the page, you can see this drop down arrow. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to duplicate. Now I'll insert a mirror image of the page. All right. And you can tell that they've mirror imaged this, even though I didn't need it. So I'm just going to go up to the arrange, rotate, flip it. So now I've got this, I've got the correct orientation here. That this is fine. All right. So what do I need to do on this page to make it this? So we've got this peach piece. This is E. And this is actually needs to be 6.5 by 10. And then we have the green strip. And this one's still 1/4 of an inch, but it is going to be 10 inches tall. It's not the entire height. And I need to snug it right up next to that peach colored piece. And I think there's it. So that took care of these E and K. So I'm going to move this piece off to the side. This one I'll move up here. I'm going to end up needing to change this one, the green one, into a circle. But I will copy another yellow one, paste it down here. All right. I think I'm in pretty good shape. Then this, I have an extra piece. And other than changing this into a circle, let's just take a look at the 2-page layout and see how it is. So if I go up to view, preview, 2 separate pages and take a quick look. Oh, you know what? It's there. The pages are flipped. So, all right, click off of it, go back. All right, does that look pretty much like the piece, the snip here? Looks like everything but the border on the left, everything but the border and the circle on the right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to go back to just my page. So let's take a look at this and how to get this into a circle. So first I'm going to ungroup. So there's a lot of different ways of doing this, and how you want to do it is totally up to you. One of the ways of doing it is to go to the content panel and go to the shapes. And I'm going to go back to the default built-in kits and go to, you find the circle or the ellipse. And if you I'm selected on the mat, and I go basically to the puppy paw, find the built-in kits, go, and I can create, apply this shape to the selected element. And it automatically will form it as an ellipse with the same aspect ratio as what the rectangle was. In this case, I really want it to be a 4-inch circle, so I'm going to go ahead up to the quick access toolbar and select it as width of 4, height of 4, and that will straighten that out. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to click the photo. It's on my other screen, sorry, but I'm going to apply the shape to the selected elements. Now it's 3.5 by 5.5. Let's make it 3.5 by 3.5 so it is truly a circle. And it actually formed it so it's perfectly centered on that. So I'm just going to go ahead and group it just so as I drag it around the page as I need to, I can not worry about leaving part of it behind. You can actually incorporate this wherever you want. So you can see how on this layout that they gave us that they have things adjusted such that these 2 photos are all the way over, very close to the edge. They have this circle really covering up a portion of all 3 of the photos. You may or may not want to do that. They also have this photo mat tucked down a little bit so you can see the top. You may decide you want to move everything out to the edge a little bit or in towards the center. You may want to bring this down. You may want to bring it quite a bit down so it's only overlapping a little bit. It's your layout. You can do whatever you want. So I do want to show a couple of things about this punch piece that they use. And I want to do that. I will bring the sample back. So I think it shows up if I zoom in. There's a couple of things in this punch. There was this flower as well as this bird. So what they did was they punched it out of a couple of different sheets of paper. One, they punched it out of the designer paper. So you can see they did one whole section here. Then they also punched it out of the deep orchid cardstock. So you can see here, they punched out a whole strip, but they also punched out a strip and then kind of cut apart. They were really just trying to get the birds. So with this hummingbird and flower punch, their goal here was to get some deep orchid colored birds, but they also wanted the entire border strip. So let's look at what they did. So what they have here, we'll zoom in a little bit more because I think it's easier to see on this one side. So what they have is they have some birds on the top that are orchid. They've got the pattern paper punch below it. And then behind it, you can almost see a little bit of a shadow, another layer all the way at the bottom that's this whole dark purple. And if you look behind the flowers at the top edge, you can also see that there is a little bit of that behind it. So they did that to give it some additional depth, which you may or may not want to do digitally. But it's a really interesting technique that they were doing to punch out and have it not all be the same paper going across the page. So we can do a lot of the same things digitally as we do traditionally, but I just thought I would show you something a little bit different today because it's something that I haven't shared on video in a while. So I wanted to go to content and I wanted to show you some of the font kits. So ignore these couple that I've created up here with some additional fonts, but on your computer, we have Wingdings and Webdings. And Wingdings or is an older font kit that we have that goes back actually quite a bit and has some shapes in here that maybe you haven't used in a long time or maybe you've never used. But these were some standard, they're more icons as opposed to some other kind of like a picture, but there's some older computer things. There's some computer mouse that has a cord on them, keyboards with a cord, number of symbols, faces, and lots of symbols. Wingdings 2 has an additional variety of items in it, including thumbs up signs and pointing and some numbers and some clocks. So this is a great way to get a clock on your page. Wingdings 3 has arrows going every direction, as well as some that are circular and different arrowheads. Webdings, which also comes standard, has an additional variety of things that you might find useful if you haven't used them before, and they can be added to shapes just like any other shapes. So what I thought I would do is show just a couple of things and how we could layer them and have a couple of things that were a little bit unique. So since Valentine's Day is coming up here really soon, I thought I would use this heart and this little flower bouquet and cut them out. So they are in Webdings. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of navigate. I'll stay on the same page, but I'm going to insert two shapes that are wide enough to go across my page, tall enough for the Webding, and I'm going to make one a more of a red color. And that's one. I'm going to just duplicate it, Control C and Control V. And I'm going to make the other one, I'll make it the other one's pink. So I'm going to do a cut of each of these and we'll see how all this turns out. So I'm going to go up to cut, cutters straight, shaped edge. Yes, flattening is okay. So I'm going to go to that font kit. I'm going to go to Webdings and I'm going to go up to those top. I'm going to go up to the hearts. Now, when I'm looking at this, what I'm probably going to want to do is I'm going to want to get this all the way down close to that bottom edge. I want an entire heart not to be on the page. So I'm going to increase the spacing between my hearts just a little bit because I really want to leave myself enough space in between because I want to stick those bouquets in there. So this I think is pretty good. There we go. All right, and I'm going to keep both areas just because this way I can always change my mind and use the negative. So what I've got, you can see I've got this set of hearts there that work out pretty well. Now I'm going to go cut the other one and I will go ahead and use those flower bouquets. So let me go back to the kit. Again, I have to navigate to it. It doesn't remember. Go ahead and go up to the top because I think it was up there. I'm going to pick this bouquet. Now, if I'm leaving the aspect ratio and the spacing alone, I didn't pick this very well. You can actually see that it will fit right in between. If you start changing the aspect ratio, you'll find you'll have a little bit harder time with that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone, push it against the bottom edge, keep both areas and cut. So now if I get the backgrounds and remove them, I've got these two that go pretty nicely together, which I thought was a very nice way to get the hearts and the flowers on the same border. So now these can go here and they kind of, I think they kind of tuck these in. Grab both of them. Tucked them in there. And I'm going to save it. Maybe bring it down here. Copy it. And I want to go to my other page. I'm going to put it down. And the spacing isn't perfect, but it's close enough for what I really wanted to do. And there we go. So I think I'm going to want to tuck these behind there. There we go. And maybe just adjust it over just a little bit. There. And now you can see that I've got two different shapes forming my border. Not identical to what they had on the Creative Memories page, but I think it's good enough for what we were trying to do. So let's go into the two-page view. I need to move these three items off my page. There we go. So I know the colors aren't, perfect, but I think this is a good representation of what Creative Memories did. So hopefully that was helpful to you and gives you a new idea on how to use some of these Webdings. So on my layout, I had done it a little bit differently. I didn't use a shaped border. I actually did use a couple of shapes. I had these two shapes in one of my art kits of two different puppies, one holding the leash in its mouth, the other one having a leash that was looking like a heart. And I did this other shape with some paw prints over on the other side of the layout. And I thought that kind of went well with this paper that I had that was kind of growing across my pages that had some paw prints on it. But I thought this worked very well with my puppy training. So I hope that you enjoyed that video, found that useful. If you haven't used some Webdings for some shapes, maybe take a look at them and see what you can find, see if something will work well. And if you do create a page or a layout, we'd love to see what you create, and you can post it on our creative or on our Facebook page, Consistently Creative Croppers. There is an album for this tropical garden layout. If you don't have a copy of this PDF, you can also get it from our Consistently Creative Croppers group, and we appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed watching.